In this video, we're going to look at topic 19, example 2, compare graphing and substitution methods. A vacation resort offers surfing lessons and parasailing. If a person takes a surfing lesson and goes parasailing, she will pay a total of $175. On Friday, the resort collects a total of $3,101 from 16 people going parasailing and 20 surfing lessons. How much does each activity cost? Okay, so we're going to solve this using both graphing and substitution, but I've kind of jumped ahead a little bit and I've already graphed it, really just to save time, but we'll go from there. All right, so the first thing we need to do is actually create our equations. So let's say that we're going to use x and y. So let's start by saying let x equal the surfing lessons. So we always have to define our variables first, and let's let y equal the parasailing. Okay, so we are told that if a person takes a surfing lesson and goes parasailing, she will pay a total of $175. So the first equation is if we do surfing lessons, so x plus y, that would be equal to $175. And then the second equation is we're told on Friday the resort collects a total of $3,101 from 16 people parasailing and 20 surfing lessons. Be careful, those are kind of flipped backwards. So the x value is the surfing lessons, so we would have 20x and then 16y, and that's going to add up to a total of $3,101. So that would be our system of equations. Now again, I already jumped ahead and graphed this, and you can see that our solution right here is 75.25 and 99.75. I really just did that again to save time. So I'll go through the substitution method because that's really what we're focusing on here. We've already gone through the graphing method. So the solution, or our answer here, is that a surfing lesson is our x values, so that's $75.25, and the parasailing is $99. That's our y value, and 75 cents. Okay, so obviously I did a bunch of this stuff for you. This graph would not always be the easiest on a graphing calculator. You would not have to know how to move the window around and find the intersection points, but it is possible. Let's say we didn't have access to a graphing calculator. We would have to do this by hand, and most likely you would probably use the substitution method. You could also use an elimination method, but we don't know how to do that yet. That's for a later lesson. So I'm going to go through the substitution process, and we're basically just going to confirm that the graph matches up to the solution that we're going to get, again, using the substitution method. However, the first thing we have to do is we have to isolate a variable. Okay, we can't do substitution unless we isolate a variable. That's not how you spell variable. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my x plus y equals 175 equation, and I'm going to choose a variable to isolate. It doesn't really matter which one you isolate. You can use isolate x or y. I'm going to isolate x in this case. There's really not a specific reason why. So I'm going to subtract y. So x is equal to 175 minus y. So what I'm allowed to do is anywhere that there's an x, I can replace it with 175 minus y. And that's what I'm going to do to the second equation here. So using substitution, we would do 20 times 175 minus y. We're substituting the x value, plus 16y equals 3,101. So there's some work we're going to have to do here. The nice thing is we already know the answer that we're supposed to get. So we do know that y is supposed to equal 99.75. So let's go through the steps of solving this equation and make sure that's what we actually get. So 20 times 175 is going to be 3,500 minus 20y plus 16y. Right, we distributed this. I'm going to combine like terms, so 3,500. Be very careful here. When we combine these, it's negative 20y plus 16y. So that would give us a negative 4y. We can then subtract 3,500 from each side. So negative 4y equals negative 399, and then divide by negative 4. So y equals, let's hope this works out, 99.75, which is what we are supposed to get. Okay, so this checks out with our graphing solution. All right, remember, you're not done. You do need to solve for both variables. So what you're going to do, let me do some highlighting. So y is equal to 99.75. Right, so that works out. So I'm going to go to my equation where x equals 175 minus y. And you could use the two original equations, but this one will be a bit easier. So you are allowed to substitute that y in here, here, or here. It is up to you, but the equation that has x already isolated is going to be the easiest. Sorry about that. So x equals 175 minus 99.75. And again, let's just check that and make sure that that actually gives us the number that we're supposed to get. 75.25, which is good. What are we looking at? We'll just put that in green. So x is 75.25, which checks out here. So we do have the right solution. In this case, we don't really need to write it as a coordinate point because they're asking about each activity. So my solution would be this down here. All right, you can write it as a coordinate point, but they are asking for specific cost per lesson, so it's better to write out the answer using words and the dollar values. That's it. Again, just focus on the substitution method, make sure you're understanding the process, getting used to isolating a variable, and then substituting an expression in to solve.